You've probably heard that lectins are the hidden villains in your food, causing inflammation, bloating, all types of digestive issues. But today, we're going to talk about the truth and the myths. For those of you who are new, my name is Naria. I'm a functional gut health registered dietitian. And today, we're diving into what lectins actually do in the body, what their impact on the digestive system actually is, and whether we need to avoid them or if we even need them. I do want to share a quick story of a patient I actually had about 3 years ago. So this individual came to me because she went to multiple GI doctors, even a few dietitians. I think it was like maybe two. I can't recall. It may have been three. Anyhow, and she was avoiding, limiting everything under the sun. I think she only had like 4 foods that she was eating at the time, severely underweight. She was like 84, 86 pounds. And one of the big things that she brought up to me were the lectins. And she's like, no, I'm not eating these. I was told they were absolutely horrible. I'm not eating all these foods in this list. Well, the way that I approached it with her was what's actually the problem. We have to stop demonizing all the foods because most likely all those foods aren't the problem. We just really need to work on your gut lining, really discovering what the problem is, and let's focus on that because I have a lot of experience doing that and it's worked marvelously. So let's try that. And if it doesn't work, then we need to pivot, which is fine. It happens here and there. So we started with just a good old basic diet that was based on her medical diagnosis, her list of medications, and her safe foods list, which, like I said, is very small. We started to add foods back. So then we start to add some lectin foods, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know about these. I haven't had them in a while, and I'm so scared that I'm just going to feel absolutely horrible." And at this point, her symptoms started to be more controlled. And I told her again, beans have fiber. They have so many benefits. Like tomatoes, there's so many benefits here. We want to try to add nuts, seeds. We want to try to add them back. Your gut microbiome can only truly heal with fiber in these types of foods. So let's add one thing at a time. Moving forward, she started to add one thing at a time. She was taking the supplements, so compliant, just so compliant, following the diet I was telling her. She was always on time of her appointments. And I can tell you that month after month, she went from like 86 pounds to like 90 pounds, which is a shocker because she was so low for the longest time. She's like, "All right, I'm finally at 90 pounds to like 94, 99, 100. Right now, she's at about 140 pounds. And she was able to add these foods back. And I really thought that these foods were just completely harming my digestive system. I was going on Google and they kept saying that lectins are bad, that this is bad. And I really believed it and I cut it all out. But now, moving forward to now, friends, in March 2025, she's having all these foods. Have her digestive system problems come back? They haven't. You see, friends, and this is only one story out of thousands of people. I've been doing this for so long, and not even that. I see a lot of people on a weekly basis. So it's a lot of like, I'll look at the research and a lot of in-person experience at this point. And with this particular person, after we started to bring foods back, which is again always the goal, she started to gain weight, to feel better. Her energy was good. I remember the first 6 months that I was seeing her, she was just so tired, so fatigued, always with headaches, migraine, brain fog out the roof while she was limiting these foods. So we have to think, if you're already removing these foods and you still feel horrible, then obviously that's not the answer. We gotta pivot right now. And that pivot was absolutely a game changer for her. So that was I think one of my first experiences with someone that had such a big food restriction list. But essentially with her, she didn't like the lectins, and apart from other foods, we started to add all those foods back. We were able to heal her gut. Now she's having a normal life, which is always the goal when I have patients. The goal is to always work with me, do it right, stick with me for 6 months. Let's do it right. Let's avoid the guessing games. Let's be compliant. Let's heal you so you can get back to life versus guessing for a year, 2, 3 years. I'm sure there's a lot of you here that have been in this gut healing game for years and you still have gut issues. I do not want that for my patients. So I always tell them, be compliant for the 6 months. Let's do it right. And that way you never have to hire someone like me again. And I love it. And sure, we're going to cover what lectins are, the claims versus the science, how they affect the digestive system, who might need to avoid them, and how to prepare lectin-containing foods properly. So first, what are lectins? Lectins are a type of plant protein found in foods like beans, whole grains, tomatoes, and nightshades. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm always preaching about fiber. Well, they do bind to carbohydrates and they do play a role in the plant's defense system. So essentially, when things try to eat them, they go into attack mode so that way they don't want to be eaten because remember, anything that's alive doesn't want to die. And that's their form of being protected. So essentially, bugs, birds try to eat the plant. And the way that this works is that it does impact their digestive system. But does that mean it's harmful to us humans? Well, we'll definitely get more into that. But essentially, common foods that contain them include the beans that I mentioned, the kidney beans, the black beans, the lentils, also whole grains, including quinoa, brown rice, wheat, nightshades like tomatoes, which I personally love in salsas, potatoes, peppers, eggplants. We'll find them also in nuts and seeds. You see, all these foods that I'm mentioning have so many benefits. So that's why I wanted to really make this episode, because I get a lot of this question. Do I recommend it? Do I limit it? What's the truth about them? So I'm excited for today's episode. So the controversy, are lectins actually bad? Thing is, books are out there like the plant paradox that claims that lectins cause inflammation, leaky gut, and autoimmune issues. But what does the research say about these claims? Now, some research does show that raw lectins can bind to the gut lining, but cooking does destroy most of them. There is no strong human studies linked to lectin-rich foods and autoimmune diseases. And in fact, many lectin-containing foods lower inflammation due to something I preach about all the time, fiber, polyphenols. These are really important. And actually, some lectins may actually promote gut bacteria diversity, which if you've been following me, you know this is key for a healthy gut microbiome. And if you have a healthy gut microbiome, you can have an entire healthy body, because everything that we are is connected to the gut. So do lectins actually harm the digestive system? Well, let's go into raw versus cooked. The thing is, most harmful effects only occur if lectins are eaten raw. But in reality, we don't eat raw kidney beans or unprocessed grains, right? And boiling the beans for over 10 minutes, which most of us know it takes longer than 10 minutes to cook the beans, destroys over 99% of those lectins. And further, fermentation and sprouting further reduce the lectin content of these foods. And pressure cooking beans actually removes most, if not all, the lectins in the beans. I personally usually pressure cook them just because it's quick and I'm lazy and I don't want to wait. What really happens with lectin-free diets for most people? Well, eliminating lectin means cutting out high fiber foods, nutrient-dense foods like the beans, the whole grains, which are proven to benefit gut health. I've seen it with the thousands of individuals that I've worked when I've added these fruits, these vegetables, the nuts, the beans, that their whole life changes because we really work on healing their gut. However, is there certain times, certain people that may want to limit them for a certain period of time? The answer is yes. Specifically, individuals with severe gut issues may benefit from limiting less lectins to allow their digestive system to heal. These conditions may include IBS, SIBO, autoimmune disorders that may feel benefits from reducing the lectins in their diet. However, this is important to know that it's only while they're in the healing stage, when their body needs that support. This is very, very individualized. I will tell you, out of the thousands of individuals I've worked with at this point, it's been over 10,000 people. I have maybe considered it on one or two people. This is definitely not something that I've used on every 1 out of 10, not even that, friends. And if it is to a point that you feel you need to limit or avoid them, you should be working with a healthcare provider so they can walk you through the process. Because remember, the end goal is not to keep removing foods forever. It's only the healing stage. But during the healing stage, if you do it right, your body can heal. But if you're not doing it right, you're going to find that your digestive issues just will not go away. Now, there is some research that removing the lectins may help individuals who have rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune diseases, but more research is needed. I personally don't work with a lot of individuals with Hashimoto's, so I can't say what my experience has been with them. I usually deal with individuals with severe digestive issues that usually don't have that condition. I can't even recall the last person I worked with that had that condition. So in short, instead of fearing lectins, focus on gut healing foods. Focus on fixing the dysbiosis, addressing the leaky gut, and ensuring proper digestion at first. I can tell you, I literally consider those things when working with my patients, and it's worked about 99% of the time. So again, just a few ways on how you can enjoy lectin-rich foods safely. Soaking them overnight honestly can make a big game changer. I usually try to do it. Sometimes I forget, but when you can't, soak them overnight. Also, boil them for at least those 10 minutes. But again, for most of us, we know that cooking beans takes way longer than 10 minutes. So you would be lucky if you get them done in 10 minutes. Consider pressure cooking again. I personally love to do it. It saves a lot of time. And consider fermenting and sprouting your grains at home. That's something I'm actually going to start to do this week. So I'm excited to start to try that process. You want definitely to consider eating a balanced meal instead of cutting foods out, especially lectin-containing foods, because again, lectin-containing foods have a lot of those polyphenols. They have a lot of that fiber, and we know that fiber feeds those gut microbiome or the gut microbacteria, and we want to make sure that those little guys are happy, because if they're happy, we're essentially happy. So friends, instead of cutting out these foods, take a step back and listen to your body. Have you had a problem with these foods? Have you tried addressing your gut issues the right way? Have you tried addressing your gut issues by Googling or going on Facebook groups with billions of people with different stories? If that's a path you've taken, that could be the problem, not necessarily the lectins or any particular food. Address your digestive system or your digestive issues correct. Consider working with a functional provider to do it the right way, because that way you avoid the guesswork. And you'll see that a lot of the foods that people like to demonize, in a sense, usually aren't harmful for most. In my personal opinion, again, I've worked with way too many patients to think for me to consider removing lectins as a first step defense. It just hasn't been needed. I've helped countless people heal their digestive issues, and all of them have been able to have nuts, beans, tomatoes, all of them safely while not experiencing any digestive distress. So, but again, if you're weary and you're still not sure about lectins, make sure to work with the provider. Listen to your body. And remember, cooking them, for the most part, removes most of them, if not all. Remember, the goal is not to fear foods based on internets or myths or Facebook groups again. You want to really think of what's the truth, what's not your truth. And for the most part, you may want to work with a functional provider, because if you find yourself Googling and Googling and Googling in Facebook group, you're going to find that you may go from being a little stressed to developing anxiety and even depression. And we can avoid that by just talking to the right person. But I'm curious, have you tried lectin-free diet, and did it help your symptoms? Did you experience anything? Yes or no? I'd love to know. Drop them in the comments. I'm always learning. I may get a few of you that comment and say, hey, Naria, I'm following a lectin-free diet and my life has changed. Cool. I'm always learning. Again, in my experience, I have just not run across it being such a big problem that I've had to focus on it. But I have had this question a few times where I decided to make this episode. Now, if you found this episode helpful, hit the subscribe and turn on your notifications. I post weekly YouTube episodes. A lot of the episodes are based on the messages, the emails, and so forth that you all send me. So if there's something that you'd like for me to elaborate, post on, educate on, send me an email, narialemaire, nln@gmail.com, and I'd love to add it to the list. As usual, friends, I hope you found value in this episode. Until next time, bye.